I want you to just take a second and put yourself in a very specific physical mindset.
Okay, setting the scene.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine you are standing out in the middle of the Arizona desert,
Right.
and it is like 112 degrees outside.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah, literally baking. The heat is radiating up through the soles of your shoes.
Mm-hmm.
It's baking the air so much that the horizon is, shimmering.
Right, that wavy heat distortion.
Exactly. And out there in the middle of that blinding, bleached landscape, all you can hear is the low, massive, continuous mechanical hum of an electrical transformer.
Just vibrating the air.
Yeah, you can feel that vibration in your chest.
Yeah.
And standing there in that heat, I want you to ask yourself a question.
Okay, what is it?
How do you actually know if a civilization is working?
Oh, wow. That's a big question.
Right, because we rely on these massive societal dashboards, right?
Yeah, like economic indicators, employment rates, crop yields.
Exactly. We use them to tell us we're, moving in the right direction.
Mm.
But what if those tools, the very metrics we use every single day to measure our progress and our safety, are mathematically designed to lie to us?
I mean, it is a profoundly unsettling question
Yeah,
because it forces us to confront the possibility that the primary metrics of our success might actually be masking a structural systemic collapse.
exactly.
We look at a rising line on a graph and we just assume, right, that it represents vitality.
Right, line goes up, we're good.
Exactly. But we do that without ever looking under the hood to see what is being burned as fuel to make that line go up.
Man, that is the exact premise of what we're unpacking today on this deep dive.
It's some heavy source material.
It really is. We are looking at a decentralized network of whistleblowers, municipal planners, radical system
The
critics.
Stenegrosphere, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
this collective operating under the moniker the Stenegrosphere.
Yeah.
And they've been circulating these incredibly stark, grounded analyses.
Yeah, detailing this massive, quiet crisis unfolding right now in Pinal County, Arizona.
Exactly. And honestly, this entire discussion is functionally a direct transmission.
A message.
Yeah. If you're the Attorney General of Arizona, if you sit on the Pinal County Board, if you're on the water boards, or even if you're a reporter holding a pen in Phoenix right now,
This is for you.
this is for you.
Mm.
We are going to dissect the 6,000-acre data center build-out proposed in the desert.
We're going to break down why the national dashboards are failing us.
Yep. And we're going to look at the hardline alternative framework they're calling the Degeneracy Compact.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. So where do we even start with this?
Well, to really grasp the gravity of what is happening in Pinal County, we first have to understand the mechanics of how massive systems lie to themselves.
Right.
And to do that, we actually have to go back to 1972.
Oh, wow. Okay, setting the clock back.
Yeah. There was this brilliant systems thinker, Donella Meadows.
Right, I recognize the name.
Yeah, she published a landmark work called The Limits to Growth. And she essentially modeled what happens when any system, whether it's human population, industrial output, or, even just a bacterial colony, what happens when it experiences exponential growth inside a fixed carrying capacity.
Because there's always a hard limit, right?
Yeah,
Like the Earth only has so much arable land.
exactly.
An aquifer only holds so much water. The atmosphere can only absorb so much heat.
Precisely. And Meadows made this critical, honestly terrifying observation.
What was it?
She found that systems built on a mandate of infinite exponential growth, they don't just naturally plateau when they reach their limit.
They don't just level off.
No, they overshoot it. They
Yeah.
blast right past the carrying capacity of their environment long before anyone heeds the warning signals.
Wait, what? How do they not see the wall coming?
It's because of latency?
Latency.
Yeah. The negative feedback signals like the dropping water tables, the dying topsoil, they're delayed, they're diffuse.
So they don't feel the pain immediately.
Right. The system overshoots because the people at the top cannot or just will not process the negative feedback fast enough to stop their own momentum.
Wow, it's like a pilot flying a 747 realizing the plane is rapidly losing altitude, right?
Yeah.
But instead of pulling up on the yoke, they just reach over and smash the altimeter with a hammer so it stops blinking red.
That is a terrifyingly accurate analogy, and the Stenegrosphere manifestos actually draw an incredibly dark historical parallel to illustrate exactly how this bureaucratic blindness operates in practice.
What's the parallel?
They point to the Great Leap Forward in China,
Oh, wow.
specifically between 1959 and 1961.
That was devastating.
Yeah, during this period, roughly 30 million people starved to death.
Unimaginable numbers.
But the famine didn't happen simply because of a drought or, a spontaneous lack of food in the soil.
Right.
It was a failure of the dashboard.
A structural failure.
Entirely structural.
Yeah.
The national leadership had committed to this rigid, top-down vision of hyper-rapid industrialization.
And massive agricultural quotas, right?
Exactly. They demanded a specific version of reality.
Mm-hmm.
And at the local level, officials and farm cadres were intensely incentivized to report the plan was working perfectly.
Because if you didn't,
If you reported that your commune missed its quota, you were labeled a counter-revolutionary. You were punished violently.
so if truth is punished, the system naturally selects for hallucination.
Exactly. Local leaders started reporting these massive grain surpluses that simply did not exist.
They would literally fake it.
Yeah, they would stage photos of wheat growing so thickly that children could literally stand on top of the stalks.
Oh my God.
But the granaries were actually empty.
And because the national dashboard glowed green, because the Capitol was looking at spreadsheets showing historic, record-breaking surpluses,
So the government actually exported grain out of starving regions to pay off international debts.
that is sickening. They took what little food was left because the math said they had plenty.
Right. Truth was weeded out. Hallucination was rewarded. The model superseded reality.
The model supersedes reality. That is the core mechanism we really have to internalize here.
Yeah, we do.
Because the argument here is that we are running that exact same selection pressure right now, today,
Yeah.
across our own massive bureaucracies.
Yes.
The dashboard we use to measure the health of American society is lying to us.
Just completely falsified by structure.
Right, let's look at food right now. In 2024, nearly 48 million Americans experienced food insecurity.
That's a staggering number.
It's roughly 1 in 7 households. It is a decade high. Over
Yeah.
12 million seniors went hungry.
Just heartbreaking.
So you have this massive bureaucratic system facing the highest food insecurity metric in 10 years.
Yeah.
How does the system respond?
It shuts down the censor.
Yes. The government discontinued the USDA's Household Food Security Survey.
They just turned it off.
They just turned it off. The single most authoritative measurement of hunger in America, a survey run consistently every year for decades, was quietly discontinued just as the numbers hit a crisis point.
Smashing the altimeter.
Exactly. Just smashing the altimeter.
Now, I think we should probably pause here for a second just to be super clear.
Yeah, good idea.
Because pointing out the discontinuation of government surveys or, questioning these labor statistics, it is not a partisan attack.
Right. Definitely not left or right.
Exactly. We're not endorsing a specific political side here, and neither are the manifestos. We are impartially observing how massive bureaucracies inherently operate.
Right. It's about institutional selection pressure.
Yeah. Any massive institution, whether it's a government agency, a massive multinational corporation, or an NGO, it operates primarily to ensure its own survival. If reporting bad news about the carrying capacity of your environment threatens your funding or your political capital or your stock price,
The system will automatically select for leaders and models that keep the dashboard looking good.
exactly. It actively purges the people who insist on highlighting the ground truth.
And we see this exact same structural hallucination on the labor floor, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, if you look at the headline unemployment rate, the dashboard looks pristine. It's sitting at a historically acceptable level.
Economists go on television, point to the graph, and declare the system fundamentally healthy.
Right. But that single metric completely ignores the reality on the ground.
Yeah.
Over 11% of prime age, U.S.-born men have simply vanished from the labor force entirely.
11%.
Yes. They are not looking for work, so they just aren't counted as unemployed. They literally just fell off the map.
They are structurally invisible. The dashboard stays green while millions of people just disappear into the margins.
It's wild.
And this brings us to the real crux of the issue.
Okay.
If the national dashboard is currently masking a slow, localized collapse in our ability to feed and employ our own population,
Yeah.
what happens when we look at the literal ground truth of where the physical infrastructure of our future is being built?
Man. Which brings us right back to the desert.
Back to the heat.
Back to the heat in Pinal County, Arizona. Because the cloud that we all talk about,
The magical ether where our data lives.
Right, this abstract cloud, it is not actually a cloud. It does not float in the sky.
No, it does not.
The cloud is made of dirt, it is made of steel, it is made of massive amounts of water, and it generates a staggering amount of heat.
Yeah, and right now, Pinal County is facing a surge of data center and energy project proposals that cover more than 6,000 acres of land.
6,000 acres.
6,000 acres of monolithic, windowless concrete boxes filled with high-density servers.
Just sitting in the desert.
Yeah, and those servers require an astronomical amount of cooling. If these build-outs proceed, statewide power plant water use tied to these data centers could quadruple.
Quadruple.
We are looking at an estimated 14.5 billion gallons of water a year.
That is, I mean, I can't even picture that much water.
They are draining the ancient desert aquifers just to keep the machines from melting down.
14.5 billion gallons in a state that is actively facing unprecedented drought conditions.
Right.
And the legislative response to this is deeply telling.
What happened?
Well, when the state of Arizona attempted to pass two very simple bills that would merely require these massive data centers to prove they weren't draining the regional water table.
Like just a basic requirement to show their math.
Exactly. Just show us the math. The bills didn't even make it to a grand public debate.
Of course not.
They were quietly killed on the House floor through ordinary votes. No massive scandal, no headline-grabbing filibuster.
Just silent administrative extraction.
Yes. The banality of it is what makes it so dangerous. It is the dashboard protecting itself.
And this introduces a concept from the Stenegrosphere manifestos that recontextualizes this entire build-out.
Malignant computation.
Yes, they define malignant computation precisely.
Okay, let's hear it.
It is a process that expands its own throughput by actively shrinking the host's capacity to remain alive.
Wow. Expanding throughput by shrinking the host's capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to dig into that concept because it makes me think about Reverend Isaac Watts.
Oh, the 18th century English minister?
Yeah, exactly. The guy who wrote that famous poem, How Doth the Little Busy Bee Improve Each Shining Hour.
Right, right.
He was praising the virtue of productive, ecosystem-friendly work.
Mm-hmm.
A bee is incredibly busy. It is highly optimized, but its work is inherently regenerative.
Right. It takes nectar from the flower, but it pollinates the host in the process.
Exactly. The ecosystem is richer because the bee was working.
That is a brilliant contrast. Because the AI compute happening in these Arizona data centers is the exact opposite of the busy bee.
Right.
It is an extractive busyness. It is incredibly active, processing trillions of parameters a second.
Just churning data.
But it is taking the nectar, the water, the electricity, the land, and leaving the flower to die.
Exactly. Unaligned AI. And look at what this extracted water is actually funding.
Right, let's connect it back.
It connects directly back to that labor dashboard we talked about.
The vanishing workers.
Yes. The 14.5 billion gallons being drained from the aquifers are powering massive AI models designed explicitly to replace human labor. Like, Tesla is completely transparent about their goal to mass produce the Optimus humanoid robot at a $20,000 price point.
They literally call it a general labor commodity.
Right. And Figure AI is already deploying robots to replace human workers on BMW production lines.
Wow.
So we are extracting the physical lifeblood of a desert community to fund the algorithmic obsolescence of the human worker.
The physical resources of the host are being consumed to fund a system that has no use for the host.
Yeah. But, I mean, wait. Let's unpack this for a second just to play devil's advocate.
Sure.
We all use the cloud. We use AI for medical research, for logistics, for our emails.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can we call these data centers malignant? Isn't this just the cost of progress?
It's a fair question, but it comes down to the water-energy nexus.
Okay.
When abstract technological growth becomes completely untethered from the carrying capacity of its environment, it acts biologically like a tumor.
A tumor.
Yeah, a tumor is a highly efficient, rapidly expanding system. It consumes resources at a record pace. Its internal dashboard looks fantastic. It thinks it's achieving massive growth.
Right. Line goes up.
But it possesses absolutely no awareness that it is killing the body it lives inside.
Wow.
When a 6,000-acre data center drains billions of gallons of water from a drought-stricken desert to train an algorithm, it is achieving high computational throughput by actively reducing the viable life options of the environment.
That is chilling.
These data centers, in the purest biological sense, are just tumors with excellent investor relations.
Tumors with excellent investor relations.
Huh.
Man, that paints a brutal picture.
It does.
Because the biological reality of a tumor is that it dies when the host dies.
Exactly. It cannot survive the collapse it causes.
But the executives and architects engineering these massive data centers aren't unthinking cells.
Right.
They are some of the most data-rich humans on the planet.
Okay.
They see the aquifer levels dropping.
Oh, they know.
They know the global supply chains are fragile. So if they know the ground truth is deteriorating, what is their actual long-term plan? When the water runs out, what do?
They execute what the manifestos call the false exit.
The false exit.
Fundamentally driven by bunker logic.
Bunker logic. Okay, tell me about this.
So, the people with the absolute clearest view of the failing dashboard are not utilizing their vast resources to patch the host environment.
Of course not.
No, they are spending their wealth on private exits. The literature actually points to media theorist Douglas Rushkoff.
Oh, I've read some of his stuff.
Yeah. He was paid exorbitant consulting fees to fly out and advise these ultra-wealthy tech billionaires.
Right.
But when he got there, he realized they didn't want his advice on how to save the world or build a sustainable future.
They wanted to know how to manage their private security forces after the collapse.
Exactly. Rushkoff talked about how they were asking him questions like, how do I maintain authority over my guards when my money is worthless?
That is insane.
They were brainstorming shot callers for their security staff and complex underground food silos.
Shot callers for their own guards.
Yes. Their entire vision of success relies entirely on leaving everyone else behind.
It is the ultimate admission of failure.
It really is.
You have engineered a world so hostile, so thoroughly depleted, that your only reward for winning capitalism is having to hide from the atmosphere in a subterranean concrete tube.
It's a dark irony. And we have to recognize that this bunker mentality, this massive extraction, it's not just isolated to Pinal County, Arizona.
No, it's everywhere.
It's a planetary panopticon. To build this unaligned compute, the entire globe is being hollowed out.
Right, like the lithium mining.
Yes, in Chile's Atacama Desert, one of the driest places on Earth, they are completely destroying the indigenous water supply there to mine lithium.
And the human labor side of it, too.
Exactly. They are utilizing deeply exploited human labor in Kenya, paying workers pennies an hour to view and categorize deeply traumatizing content.
Just to sanitize the AI models so they're palatable for Western consumers.
Right.
And when our phones and laptops are obsolete after 2 years, the toxic e-waste is shipped off and dumped in places like Ghana, poisoning the soil and the groundwater.
It's a global extraction machine.
And what is the return on investment for this massive global extraction?
Right.
We get AI chatbots that can write an email for us,
Yeah.
sure. But the serious compute, the massive capital expenditure, it's funding, surveillance, and control.
Absolutely.
Palantir secured a $1.3 billion Pentagon contract for the Maven targeting system. Companies like Shield AI are building drone swarms mathematically designed to reduce the amount of human judgment required in warfare.
It's terrifying.
And right here in the U.S., there are 120,000 automated license plate cameras currently feeding a warrantless national database.
A database that has already been thoroughly documented as being abused by individuals to stalk women.
Exactly. It's just control.
But the tragedy of bunker logic, the reason it's called the false exit, is that it fails structurally. It is mathematically doomed.
Oh, so.
In systems theory, a bunker is what we call a low degeneracy object.
Low degeneracy.
Right. It concentrates dependency and it concentrates failure. A billionaire's bunker only lasts as long as the perimeter holds.
Right.
As long as the complex air filtration supply chain functions perfectly. And as long as the exclusion regime, the guards remain loyal.
Which is why they need the shot callers.
Exactly. It is an incredibly brittle, fragile solution to a massive systemic problem. You simply cannot isolate yourself from a dying host indefinitely.
Right. You can't beat bunker logic by just building a bigger bunker with thicker walls.
No, it doesn't work.
You've eventually run out of air,
Yeah.
or your guard realizes he has the gun, and you just have the shot caller remote.
Precisely.
So if the dashboard is lying, if the Great Leap Forward selection pressure is blinding us, and if the bunkers are a trap,
It's the alternative.
yeah, how do we actually fix this? How do we take this runaway malignant computation and tether it back to the reality of the dirt?
That's the big question.
What is the actual actionable message to the Arizona regulators who are sitting there right now holding the zoning permits for these 6,000 acres?
This is where the Stenegrosphere framework introduces its core alternative.
Okay.
It's a vital biological concept called regenerative degeneracy.
Regenerative degeneracy. Now, in common parlance, Degeneracy sounds like a moral failing.
Right, like a degenerate gambler.
Yeah. But in evolutionary biology, it is the absolute secret to survival.
Exactly. Regenerative degeneracy is the capacity of a living system to achieve viable outcomes through many different messy, overlapping, and improvisational configurations.
Think of a healthy forest.
Yes, great example.
A forest doesn't have a central server. It isn't perfectly optimized for one specific output.
Right.
If a single massive oak tree falls, the entire forest doesn't crash.
No, the mycelial network in the soil just immediately reroutes the nutrients, the underbrush grows in the new sunlight.
That messy, decentralized redundancy, that ability to improvise, is degeneracy.
It is the exact opposite of a perfectly optimized, brittle, monolithic data center. And that biological principle leads to the ultimate regulatory rule proposed in these manifestos.
The Degeneracy Compact.
Yes, the Degeneracy Compact. It is an absolute requirement, a hard line in the sand for municipal planners.
What does it say?
It states unequivocally, no computational system may expand by reducing the viable options available to the beings and places from which it draws energy, water, land, labor, attention, or memory.
No system may expand by reducing the viable options of its host.
That's the golden rule.
Okay, but if we apply that strictly to Arizona, what are the actual structural patches?
Right, the mechanics.
Because the manifestos lay out very specific, legitimate regulatory tools to enforce this. The first patch is called Universal Basic Life, or UBL.
And this isn't universal basic income.
Right, no.
Yeah.
It is a physical baseline guarantee of shade, water, and food for the local population.
The mechanics of UBL demand that before any compute subsidies are granted.
Before any tax breaks are given to a tech giant to break ground on a server farm?
Yes, that capital must first convert to community survival. It mandates the funding of physical shelter, municipal cooling centers, and critical infrastructure repair.
Meaning, the data center does not get to optimize its algorithms until the surrounding neighborhood is physically insulated against the heat.
Exactly. They have to patch the host first.
I love that. And the second patch is the proof of regeneracy.
Right.
This means no new data center gets to spin up its massive cooling fans unless it provides a physical, tangible receipt proving that its presence actively increased the local carrying capacity of the soil it sits on.
And it has to be real. You don't get to buy carbon offsets from some tree planting shell company in another hemisphere.
Right, no greenwashing. You have to leave the dirt in Pinal County wetter and richer than you found it.
Exactly. And the mechanism to enforce this, the true regulatory teeth of the Degeneracy Compact, is the third patch.
The locus ledger.
Yes, the locus ledger. This is the ultimate scheduling constraint.
How does it work?
It binds the abstract floating math of artificial intelligence directly to the physical reality of the local environment.
Okay, give me an example.
So, if household air conditioning fails during a brutal Arizona summer stress event, non-essential compute automatically throttles down.
Wow.
If local well levels decline past a certain threshold, new water-intensive server loads are forcibly paused. The machine yields to the host.
Now, when I first read about the locus ledger, my immediate thought was, how do you actually enforce this?
Yeah, enforcement is the tricky part.
Because how does a local municipality in Arizona force a $300 billion tech conglomerate to pause its servers?
Right.
Like, what is stopping a massive corporation from just quietly fudging the local water data on the ledger to keep the dashboard green?
And that is the most critical distinction in this entire framework.
Okay.
The authors explicitly contrast the locus ledger with abstract software-based blockchain smart contracts.
Right. They hate the crypto approach.
Yeah, because they understand that software can be manipulated. We aren't asking an AI or a crypto token to ethically decide who deserves water.
Right.
The locus ledger must be a public, auditable record that is hardwired into the physical world.
Hardwired.
Yes. We are talking about physical, analog, soil moisture sensors, and reservoir floats directly connected at the circuit level to the server farm's power supply.
It's hard physics.
Hard physics.
If the local biological system says no, if the water level physically drops below the sensor, the circuit physically trips.
Exactly. The compute physically cannot happen.
There is no software bypass.
Right.
There is no executive override.
The servers go dark until the water returns. Compute must be undeniably physically answerable to carrying capacity.
That is brilliant. You remove the reporting mechanism entirely, so the system cannot hallucinate a false surplus.
Exactly. You physically stop the Great Leap Forward selection pressure.
Right. But this brings up a massive counterargument.
Okay, what is it?
If we cap the monolithic 6,000-acre Data centers. If we physically throttle them based on local water levels, what happens to the internet?
Yeah, the demand for compute isn't going away.
Right. What happens to the deeply human desire to compute, to connect globally, to share knowledge? Do we just abandon computation and revert to an agrarian society?
Not at all. And this is where the vision gets incredibly creative.
I love this part.
The manifestos introduce the concept of the counterbunker, or the global mesh.
The global mesh.
Yeah. The architects of the Degeneracy Compact argue that the future of computing isn't a $10 billion monolithic facility draining an aquifer in the desert.
Okay.
It is a highly distributed, messy, wildly resilient network.
Like the forest.
Exactly like the forest. Imagine a global web powered by salvaged PlayStation 3s, old Raspberry Pis, and decentralized servers housed in community land trusts, all skimming residual low-impact compute.
It is computing power reclaimed from the junk drawer.
Yeah. By distributing the load across millions of low-power recycled devices, you eliminate the massive centralized heat generation and water drain. And this distributed physical network is paired with a fascinating, almost surreal cultural resistance.
Yes, the ROCO 2012 campaign.
The Stenegrosphere documents this ROCO 2012 campaign. It reads like a mix of theatrical performance art and psychological warfare against rigid systems.
Totally. They describe a tactic called a retrocausal injection.
Yes.
The retrocausal injection is honestly one of the most brilliant pieces of cultural warfare I have ever read.
It's so weird.
It is essentially the idea of weaponized absurdity. It involves taking a hyper-specific, dated internet meme from 2012 and injecting it into the sterile, ultra-modern present to force a sudden, hyper-aware cringe.
The glitch.
Exactly.
Great.
The sources detail actual campaigns where people are power walking down the sidewalks next to massive gridlock traffic jams, wearing cheap VR headsets made of cardboard, donning paper crowns, and holding signs that say, "My demon made me do it."
It is completely unapologetically surreal.
It's ridiculous.
It sounds absurd, but from a systems theory perspective, it is a highly tactical intervention.
Right.
And alongside this, they introduced the Bonobo Protocol.
The Bonobo Protocol.
Yeah. This is a radical behavioral tactic designed to short-circuit systemic violence and state combat loops by doing the profoundly unexpected.
Give me the example.
The classic example provided is walking up to a riot police officer, someone who functions as the ultimate physical enforcer of the state's dashboard.
Right, the guy with the shield and the baton.
Exactly. And instead of escalating a conflict or throwing a rock, simply looking them in the eye and saying, "I love you."
It's forcing a glitch in the matrix with pure human empathy.
Yes. The goal is to break the institutional facade. It forces the human being inside the uniform into a cognitive misfire.
It reminds them instantly and viscerally that they are part of a messy, living ecosystem, not just an unthinking enforcer of a centralized algorithm.
Exactly.
You have people power walking next to traffic jams and paper crowns, handing out desert beans to fight back against $360 billion defense contractors.
It is totally absurd.
But absurdity is the one thing a hyper-optimized AI cannot predict or optimize against.
That is the exact analytical insight. This highly theatrical, weird, degenerate human behavior is a deeply sophisticated defense mechanism.
Because it's unquantifiable.
Right. Systems of malignant computation demand rigid certainty. They require predictable inputs so they can model the world and optimize it for extraction. By injecting the unquantifiable human element, by being weird, by being loving, by being deeply irrational, you force the machine to acknowledge the living, breathing ground truth.
You cannot optimize a surveillance data set that constantly, fluidly shifts its emotional and cultural parameters.
No, you can't. It breaks the dashboard.
To bring this entirely down to earth, the manifestos offer a brilliant, incredibly simple metric to understand the difference between fragile extraction and resilient degeneracy.
The boba tea.
Yes, they compare the boba tea to the tepary bean.
Right.
Now, I love boba tea as much as anyone, but look at what it takes to get one. A cup of boba relies on a massive, perfectly functioning, hyper-optimized global supply chain.
It really does.
You need tapioca cultivated in Thailand, milk powder shipped from New Zealand, sugar processed in Brazil, and plastic cups manufactured in China.
It is the definition of low degeneracy.
Right.
One single disruption, a drought in South America, a trade war, a ship stuck in a canal, and the entire boba tea supply chain shatters.
It is fragile.
Contrast that with the tepary bean.
The tepary bean.
Yeah. It is an indigenous, deeply drought-resistant desert crop. It has evolved to thrive in the harsh, 112-degree Arizona heat with almost no water. It does not require a global supply chain or a monolithic data center to track its logistics.
The Tippery bean is the true physical receipt of regeneracy.
Yes.
It is local, it is intensely resilient, and it feeds the community even when the global dashboard completely goes dark.
That's the mesh in action.
Which brings us to the ultimate grounding rule of this entire movement.
The best rule.
Amidst all the high-level talk of cybernetic highs, carrying capacities, and locus ledgers, their foundational law is called the Spork axiom.
The Spork axiom.
Yes. Carved into the dirt with a discarded plastic cafeteria spork, it reads simply, don't be a jerk about it.
It is brilliantly reductionist.
It really is.
Because after all the systemic critique, after analyzing the horrific bureaucratic failures of the Great Leap Forward,
Right.
after modeling the water-energy nexus of AI and the brittle cowardice of billionaire bunkers, it all boils down to a fundamental, inescapable mandate for human decency and communal care. It is the one constraint an algorithm cannot easily parse, but that every human being understands implicitly.
Wow. We have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
We started with the humming transformers in the heat of Pinal County. We unpacked the dashboards that lie to us about the millions of people going hungry and the millions missing from the labor force.
Yeah.
We looked at the 14.5 billion gallons of water being drained for malignant computation, the billionaire class fleeing into brittle concrete bunkers, and the radical, messy, beautiful hope of the degeneracy compact.
The global mesh.
Right. So what is the distillation of all this? What is the core takeaway for the Arizona regulators holding those zoning permits in their hands right now?
I think the inescapable conclusion is that the era of mistaking extractive efficiency for intelligence is over.
It's over.
A computational system is not intelligent just because it can process trillions of parameters while its host environment dies.
Right.
True intelligence is only valid if it actively increases the viable futures of a watershed, a neighborhood, and a species. If we are to survive the coming bottlenecks, we must tether our technology directly to our physical carrying capacity. We have to stop optimizing for the dashboard and start regenerating the ground truth.
That is perfectly said. And, for you listening, I want you to look at the device you're using to listen to this deep dive right now.
Right, look at it.
Look at your phone or your laptop. Someday, very soon, the manufacturer is going to tell you it is obsolete.
Oh, definitely.
The global dashboard will categorize it as trash. But what if its true purpose hasn't even started yet?
Yeah.
What if the afterlife of your discarded phone is exactly what forms the resilient, regenerative global mesh that saves your neighborhood when the central servers finally go dark?
It's a powerful thought.
Keep your devices. Keep your neighbors close. Plant the Tappery beans. And whatever you do, don't be a jerk about it.